What's going on, Brad?
Hey, not a whole lot, just living.
Sorry for keeping you waiting, but listen, I'm excited to have you here. I know you hit 10K recently, and want to first just say congratulations on hitting the goal here. Really proud of you, and ask you a few questions about just your experience with the program and your journey as an owner of a cleaning business thus far. So maybe you can just rewind the clock for us to before you started this. I know this wasn't that long ago, but walk us through maybe like, hey, like why you even got into something like this, your decision making process, and maybe you can give us kind of your maybe overview of your journey from the beginning stages to where you're at today.
Well, before the cleaning business, I had a W-2 job. I've been in logistics for a while, and I also, got my real estate license. I've always been the type of guy who's just like, starting the little like, side businesses, some work, some don't, and real estate just wasn't for me. And then I saw you on Twitter, and I was like, wow, this sounds pretty legit. It's like, you're very good with like automation and everything, and I love sales. So I just figured like, this might be a good thing for me, and just spoke to you, and then like kind of went from there. But yeah, I kind of want to just get out of my W-2 and find somebody or something that I liked, that could possibly work for me. And then like with you kind of like holding my hand along the way, it's not just me trying to figure this stuff all by myself. So it gave me this extra bit of comfort knowing that like I'm not on my own.
Yeah, and maybe give us like the when did you go live with your business, and then obviously when did you do you happen to know like generally a rough timeline on? I don't think I have the exact date and time, but how long it took you to go from 0 to 10K?
So it was around Christmas, and I know it's like I was thinking in my head, Brad, you're crazy for starting something around Christmas, getting into all this stuff. But I'm like, is there ever really a right time? So actually started the class in December maybe, and now and then we went through like all the modules and everything like that, and it took a little bit longer for me just because the holidays and nothing to do with like your class or whatnot, but it's just like managing my time correctly, but now it's beginning of May,
Yeah.
and now we're here, we're cruising. I think I'm already at 13.6 for the month, and it's like the beginning of the second week of May. But
Cool.
yeah, that's where I'm at.
Cool. And then I think so. I mean, jog. So you started like around Jan 1, and I think you hit 10K in April. So I think it was like somewhere, and then you probably went live in February.
Yeah,
Is
right
that
around
correct?
that. I went live. Yeah, it was just all the administrative stuff in the beginning. Yeah, live was February, sounds about right.
Okay, cool. So that makes sense. Awesome. I guess in terms of, and I know you mentioned a couple things about the program from your side, in terms of what you found maybe most helpful or valuable to you, what would you say is like from this entire experience, what did you find to be like the most valuable for yourself in this business building process?
Most valuable for myself. Well, I think the most valuable thing is really just learning the ins and outs of a business. I didn't know like how to hire, how to fire, the payroll type stuff, just basically everything that went into this. Like I I've always been like, entrepreneurial brained, and I want to like learn how to like, I'm not saying I'm going to branch off from cleaning ever, but I just really wanted to know like, how to run your business, what it took, and then have you like, help me along the way. So that's like very helpful. Like I never would have done this on my own, and if I did, it'd be years, then frustration, and then, my wife would be pissed off at me or something, but yeah, the most valuable thing is basically your class and you holding our hands through this, and showing us the way. Like you're very my wife's watched some of the modules with me of you on there, and she's like, man, this guy is thorough. Like, she's a recruiter for 15 years. Like when you were going through the hiring process and your modules, it was just like, wow, this is all perfect. So but yeah, just learning the ins and outs of like running your own business. That was the most important to me. I didn't necessarily want cleaning in the beginning, but it came my way.
Sure.
And yeah, that was my favorite part, and that's why I joined the class.
Cool. And I think that might segue well into like the next question I'll ask here. And I appreciate that. Like as you look forward now in terms of where you want this business to go, you've kind of built maybe like what we're going to call business fundamentals right now, right? At least the way you're describing it to me is, hey, I actually know like where everything sits in a company and what it should do. How do you view the business long term in terms of like where you want to go with it and what role it's going to play in your life?
So I have a little bit busier of a life. You know, I started this too because my son has a condition. I have to be here more often, take him to some appointments. But what I really want to do is, you know, keep pushing with the sales, grow like gradually. I always say gradually, but you know, I like moving quickly at times, but going as fast as I can while managing stress, and just keep growing month over month. I really want to start with like, you know, getting a barrier between me and the operations. So I know you could help with that with the VAs and everything. So basically just keep rolling in the sales and being able to manage the cleaners on a day-to-day basis with the help of virtual assistants. So that's where I'm at now.
Cool. And last question for you, Brad. If someone's on the fence about starting something like this, what would you tell them?
I would say go for it, you know. Take the step, you know, like no day is ever a good day. I started around Christmas, you know, it's like the absolute worst time to start something, you know, family parties. But I was like, you know what? Got to stop making excuses in your head and just like pull the trigger. You know, these guys are here to help you. If you ever have a question, they'll be here to answer that in like, you know, 10 minutes and give you a very thorough response, and they're always here to help. So definitely pull the trigger. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So yeah.
All right, Brad. That's very encouraging words to the general population. But
Yeah.
listen, congratulations. I'm proud of you on this first kind of chapter of this journey. And I'm excited for kind of everything to come in the future.
Sure. Yep.
All right, man.
All right. See you later.